Hey, rock stars, Kenzie here. Hey, we're gonna jump into the call tonight, but real quick, just want to make sure everyone saw the post that's up in Rockstars about the new kit coming with the home essentials. I think that's what we're gonna call it still. It has a couple new oils in it and no Frank. So check that out. It's not available yet, but it's coming soon near you. So tonight we have a power couple in the house because we've been talking about how do I build doTERRA lifestyle wise? How do I onboard my spouse and get them excited about not only smelly oils, but helping me do things in my business to be successful. So I believe I've asked you guys to do this call in a very similar fashion before. You guys have shared some of your tips and tricks with us, but we have the Owens with us tonight, and they're going to talk to us about how they're rocking this because currently they're traveling a lot, like places like Hawaii and Prague, and they're somehow making it work with their families. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys and let us know your top secrets.
Awesome.
Sure.
Secrets. It
Well-
makes it sound so important.
Well, first
It
of all, I
is.
just want to call out, we wouldn't have gone to Hawaii if it wasn't for our awesome downlines, the Whitmans.
That's true.
Actually earned the trip. We just tagged along.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have gone if they hadn't have gone, but we wanted to go and celebrate. So that was
Party with the
all on
Whitmans.
them. We wouldn't have been there without them. So that's also really cool. Totally off topic, but when your downlines do awesome things, it's always really, really great and amazing.
Yeah. It's really fun when I said this before we got started, but it's really fun to do this with people you like. It becomes so much better than, dreading any relationship issues or whatever. And honestly, it's just another type of relationship that we get to talk about tonight. So, I have a PowerPoint. You guys know me. I've done this enough. There's going to be a PowerPoint because I get a little distracted. All right. Oh, I can start. A kid is literally crying right now. That's okay. All right, let me present. Here we go. Sometimes Canva likes me and sometimes it doesn't. Did you guys know you could do this in Canva? That you can present straight from it? If you didn't know, now you know. You don't have to download it and pull it into PowerPoint anymore. They just let you present straight from it. Okay, so pretend my husband's face is right here because we're gonna. You guys know this is a perfect example. This is literally the best example of partnering with your spouse. It is 100% a partnership. There is no I couldn't do this if he didn't do the things he did, and vice versa. It takes so much of the burden and the pressure off when you know that you've got somebody who's got your back every step of the way. So we're going to kind of get into this. And the most important thing, so if we've got people on here who maybe you're not married, maybe you are married and your spouse is not in support. If you are married and your spouse supports you, but they don't want to do the business. I want to be really clear that there's no wrong or right way to do this with your spouse. It very much is just what works for you, what works for your relationship, your family, your strengths. We'll talk about strengths. The goal here is just that you have, if we're looking bare minimum, get the support. So if your spouse is not on board, I think enough of you guys are familiar with Elise Chedevy's daily mentor calls, right? And I know that this is something that's getting rolled out in Rockstars, and I'm super pumped for all of you guys to get into it. But she talks about when you're making your 100 names list and you are rating, okay, I don't like the word rating. So on our team, we call it prioritizing. Okay, we're prioritizing our list, so we do it effectively. But we're giving everybody a number for certain things, right? We're totaling them up, and it reaches 7 for the most magical of people that we need to talk to.
Kind of like one of those magazine tests,
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like it. So one of the things that you give a point for is, do they have a supportive spouse? Now, does that mean that someone who checks all the other boxes but does not have a supportive spouse won't be successful in this business? No, that's not what it means. But when we look at the averages, when we look at, gosh, just the amount of successful people and what their characteristics are, that's when having a supportive spouse is like a highlighted item. Now, I just came back from Prague with Elise Genevieve, and she actually gave us a little more insight to it, which was really helpful. I love, and a lot of times she compares things to marriage or to relationships or to parenthood, like in the business. And it's really great because like most of the people in the room are moms, right? So we get it when you compare our business to parenting. But she talks about how when you find a builder, or when you are a builder yourself and you find someone who has a supportive spouse, it's like a 2-for-1 deal, right? Because you're not just getting one person, you're getting the support team that comes along with it. And there's just so much power there. So what I would encourage you guys to do is not get super wrapped up. We're going to share our tips and the things that we do and how we've made this work. But I don't want you to get real tied up in, well, we don't have those same strengths, or we don't do it this way, because there's not a wrong or right way. And if you've got support, let me just say you are miles ahead of so many people in doTERRA who do not have their spouse on board. And I'm not, like, of course, everybody has the story of like the husbands who started off just like liking how the oils smelled. Okay, whatever, I'll use deep blue. But we're talking like, do they support you doing this business? If so, you are miles ahead, okay? So I'll share a little bit while he's trying to get the 4-year-old back to sleep. Real quick, I'll share with you kind of how, you'll love this story, how Michael got on board. And it was very, very early in this business. So I am coming up on my 6th anniversary of doing the business, which is like kind of crazy when I think about it, that it's been almost 6 years since I originally was like, okay, this is a thing. How's it going?
Fine.
So let's see, I was really close to hitting elite, I think is what happened, or I had just hit elite, I can't remember. And I did it kind of, I don't want to say on my own, but kind of in a really like, I just went for it. I just did it. Like I did it. I think I've told you guys this before. I invited my uplines to my first class. Like I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I was like, I'm going to host a class. And I sent them all an invitation on Facebook and they were like, what is going on here? But soon after, I'm like around the elite-ish range, and Burke Rigby and Chris Bracken did a training called Peak Performance. We joke about this now because if anyone else had a webinar named this, like we'd all be like, what kind of webinar is my husband watching, right? Like, come on. So they have this peak performance training, right? And on the very first night, it was my very first Zoom I'd ever been on ever. Like I was trying to figure out all the chords and it was ridiculous. Like, I don't know what I thought I was doing. There's like this speaker system that I hooked at, ridiculous. But I turn up the volume and Michael, we'd put kids to bed. It was like, of course, like a 9 o'clock like this. And Michael's in the kitchen in here and I was in the other room and I turned up the volume and I just kind of kept turning it up. And we got to the part about residual income, and I don't know if you know this, but Burke is basically the husband whisperer. That's what we call him. Every husband who's ever sat through one of his compensation plan trainings is like, I'm on board, I want to do what that guy does, right? Which is basically his wife makes him a lot of money, right? That's what Burke told one of our guys recently, like, you should get on board, she's going to make you a lot of money. So that's the night that Michael like slowly snuck in though to the family room and just listened. And about, I don't know, 2 days later says, so I was thinking about this doTERRA business, and basically the rest is history. Like he heard the compensation plan and he's like, she's already done this. So let's go for it. There might be more thoughts behind that you had, but I think it was mostly just, he was already in support. And when he heard how awesome it was, he was on board. Yes? Yeah. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I already believed in you.
Accurate.
So that helped.
Yeah. We say all the time, there have been several instances in our relationship in general where like just the simple fact that he believed I could do it and I did it. I just needed that someone to say, you can do this. I think you can do this. And I was in, right? Like sometimes that's all it takes. So if there are spouses on here, like I want to really remind you, like make sure you tell, if there are dudes on here, I can't believe I said that word. I hate that word. If there are guys, men, gentlemen on this call, like remind her that you believe she can do this, because it's really, really powerful when she knows that you believe in her. It's something that when I used to teach birth classes, I always made, was that where I was going? Yes. I always made sure that was like an understood thing. Like, hey, you need to tell her that you believe that she can do this. Okay, let's get moving. So a really big important thing for us was to get crystal clear. And I know we talk about this a lot with our why, with our goals, with our vision, but knowing what you want and need from the business partnership with your spouse is really important. Sometimes it takes some time to figure it out, right? Like it takes, and it sometimes takes trial and error to figure out, nope, that wasn't exactly what I needed. Knowing, gosh, for me, I had to be really, I very easily could do everything on my own, and I don't like to ask for help. I don't know if there are other ladies out there that suffer from this condition, but I do not like to ask for help. I like to try and do everything on my own. And fun fact, that makes us very tired. And then the one day you can't do it, you get very discouraged, right? Like that is just a setup. Like we're just setting ourselves up for disaster. So something that Michael had to do is ask me, like, how can I help you? And then we had to have the conversation of, okay, now that's a great question. I don't think I need help. No, how can I help you? Anything you would add to that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't think so. What's next? I just want to make sure I don't.
That you don't say something we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is really important because you want to be on the same page, and like you need to understand what you bring to the table, but you have to offer it. You can't just say,
can't just do it.
I'm going to do this for you because it's probably not going to work out very well. So I think I kind of started messing around with back office a lot and just kind of.
Which is like the gateway for all the husbands, right? Like, I'm just going to look at these spreadsheets and fix this for you.
Looking at stuff back there, and I started kind of thinking like, just what can I do from that perspective? And, we started having people come into our own oil group. So I kind of, for a while, was taking charge of approving people in there when we didn't really have.
And that was something that at
the beginning, we didn't really
we didn't have a whole lot of like leaders right off the bat.
So I would approve people, and
yeah.
I think one of my biggest roles is I give lots of gentle reminders. So if someone sends us a message on like our group Facebook page, or like our combined Facebook page, I'll be like, hey, did you message that person? Because they're not messaging for me. It does say Michael and Courtney.
It's Michael and Courtney, but they're asking me a question.
They're messaging for her. Sometimes I'll answer if I know the person, but usually they're looking for her. So I'll be like, hey, did you send that person a message, or stuff like that. So you just kind of gotta.
And I would say for us,
trial and error. Sometimes
the only way he could have known how he could have helped me is to be really familiar with the compensation plan and really familiar with how this business works. So like in the beginning, it was a lot of like, okay, he just watches kids so I can go teach classes, but then I would come home and he would be awake still and we would talk and he would hear what happened and he would let me kind of chat about the class and vent about things. And through this process, he learned a little about what this business looks like, and he learned a little about the things that were stressful for me. And he's in the meantime like sneaking around in back office trying to figure stuff out, right? And so his learning about the compensation plan and his learning about back office and all of that, and then just being available to me, really, I think, got him involved in the business on a deeper level than if I would have just been like, I need you to approve people and back off it, like in our Facebook group.
I just need you to watch the
I
kids.
just want you to watch the kids. Like,
which is some people's
you guys, that's a big deal.
Need an arrangement, and it was fine. I mean,
yeah,
it's still
his role a lot of times.
It became our role. That became my role because we had babies back to back to back. And then we started a business.
Yeah.
She started a business right after a baby.
Yeah.
And so I was already in that kind of like evening caretaker role, and we've just carried it on.
Stayed there. We basically stayed in the we just had a baby mode
yeah.
for the last 6 years.
Business is our baby.
Our business is our baby. That's right. So we just kind of hung out in that space where he does bedtime. I haven't, unless he is like gone with one of our older kids or something, he's the bedtime man. And I give everybody a hug and a kiss.
I think we could count on one hand the amount of times
oh my gosh,
post-nursing that you've put our last baby to bed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I'm doing things like this, right? Like, and she wakes up and he goes and takes care of it. And no, trust me, she arrives in our bed around 1 a.m. and asks for me and me only. But the actual putting children into their beds and kissing them and praying and singing and all the things that we do, that's his role, and it has been. And it was something that we didn't really like have to think about too much, because we were, like you said, like I taught my first class 6 weeks after I had our sixth baby. So we were like in that mode, right? Of mommy has to nurse the baby now, daddy's going to do bedtime. And so we just kind of stayed there. But like I said, like kind of, he had to learn what this business looked like. And luckily he, started doing that early, but, yes. Okay. Let's move forward, because it's a really important part that I almost keep trying to say. Okay. So a lot of times the business is started by us lovely ladies, right? Michael jumped in pretty quick, but regardless.
But it wasn't like 50-50.
No, it was like he's watching like the kids.
5.
Yeah.
95.
Yeah. For a while, really, until the last, I don't know, 2 years.
It's still that way.
And it's still, I'm doing more of the actual.
I've contributed to like maybe 3 enrollments.
It's true. He does other things, guys. We're going to talk about the other things.
I've taught some classes.
He has taught some class. They went fine. He did Diamond Club classes. Don't let him trick you. He did Diamond Club classes, and so they weren't personal enrollments for him, but he led people to enrollment.
Maybe.
You did.
Okay.
You did. So here's the deal. When we are starting these businesses, ladies, it's our baby, right? We've created this beautiful thing. And I don't know about you guys, but like my Facebook group is like this. Like, this is my precious little baby, and I take care of it, and I nurture those little precious customers with all their education. And I've like, anybody says anything mean, I'm like, who was it? Where are they? Like, I'm just like, that little group is like so precious to me. And my whole business is like that, right? Like, I put so much time and effort and love and care into it, and the placements that I have like agonized over for days, and like, right, like, you guys know this, we all do this. But can you imagine then your husband's like, I'm on board, let's clean up this back office, and you're like, I don't think you understand the relationships at play. Like, like we had
that was a big thing to learn for me.
A few moments with placements.
I was always like, why is this person here? It makes sense over here. So like, well, you can't do that because she knows her
and she knows her, and then we have drama.
So then it became every time like I would look and see if there was a move that could be made, I would have to ask first, can you explain is there any extra relationship here that I
Is there
need to
anything
know
I
about
should be aware
before
of?
I make this suggestion? And sometimes it was yes, there was extra, and sometimes there was no. I mean, we were able to make a move that was beneficial.
Yeah, because I'm getting an outside perspective, right? But the key that we're kind of like getting at in our weird roundabout way is
I can sum it up
sum it up, say it,
because I was going to.
do it, go.
You talk a lot.
I talk a whole lot.
I had actually sometime last year, beginning of the year, I was listening to a Rachel Hollis podcast with her, the one that her husband's on as well. And he was talking about when he left his job at Disney to come and work with her on the business she had already built. And they had gotten into a big fight because he basically came and was mansplaining some things to her. And she's like, dude, I did this already. This was successful before you came here. You can't just come in here and tell me what to do. I'm the CEO. And that was like really helpful for me. Not helpful enough because we ended up getting into an argument about something. And I quickly realized like, oh man, I just did that thing that they told me not to do. But as men, it's hard for us to
not fix
or trying to say like we want to lead. It's a natural instinct to lead, especially if you've come up at all in a religious background. It's very much poured into you that you are to lead your house. Now sometimes that looks a lot different than what you were taught, just saying. But we don't have time for that.
That's a different
conversation.
Zoom. That's
don't have time for that. But I realized what I did was equivalent to an employee, an entry-level employee who has not contributed much to the bottom line.
Big word, contributed. Just saying.
I
don't know where you're going.
Contributed.
Keep going. Sure.
Contributed.
Contributed. I was wondering where this word came from.
Contributed.
An entry-level employee that has
not very smart. Who has not contributed.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks for your help.
Uh-huh.
To the bottom line of this company, coming in and telling the CEO what he's doing wrong or she's doing wrong. And so that was a huge thing for me. So you've got to honor what your spouse has already put together, and can't come in and just start telling them,
where we should place people.
You should really fix this.
You guys, I really love placements.
You should do this a lot better.
And strategy, and my precious husband would like try and tell me things, and I just, even now, and we can go
I like
on.
him too.
Well, you're about to find out why. Okay, knowing our strengths has been amazing. Okay, so you can actually, this is my strengths mug. I'm not kidding, guys. That picture is our actual like morning coffee mugs that we drink out of. I got us matching his and her strengths mugs. So here's the deal. This has been the most empowering thing for us. And if you don't have your spouse's strengths, get on it. Like, I'm not even talking in the business, for your marriage. This is crucial. When we found out that Michael's number one strength was empathy, do you guys know what number it is for me? It's not 1. Let's just say that. I want to say it's 32. 32. My very bottom one is something else really, I think it's actually connectedness. It's another one that he has. When I realized,
you're lucky I stuck around.
Seriously. When I realized,
I loved you a whole lot.
It's true. That I wasn't tapping into his empathy in relationships with our builders. I was like, what have I been missing out on? Because that's actually, I don't have any, if you are familiar with like the colors of strengths, like the different quadrants, is that the right word? I don't have anything relational in my top 5. I don't have anything relationship oriented until number 9 and 10 in my top 10. Okay. It's not that I don't like people, love people, all the people, love people, but I don't have, okay, maybe not all the people. You just looked at me. Okay.
You didn't have to say that.
So what, oh boy. I lost my train of thought now. Oh, I don't have relationship skills, but he's got 2 in his top 5. And when we look at his,
you have relationship skills, you don't have relationship strengths.
Sure. Whatever, however you want to label it, that's fine. It is not my strength to deal with the people stuff, right? But he has some skills, right? He's good at it. So when there's drama or there's conflict or there is a really crucial conversation text I need to send someone, guess who reads that text before I send it, right? Guess who I have check out the message someone sent me that maybe I've hurt their feelings and he needs to help me know how exactly they're feeling because it's like a blank up there for me, right? So knowing that he had that strength filled a massive hole in our business because I was right? You would think the girl is going to be really good at all the relationship stuff because I'm leading other girls and it should work. But like, I'm actually not real great at it. And when I operate out of that, because those relationship strengths are all in my bottom, so we unlocked our full 34 strengths, right? And because relationship stuff is all in my bottom, it actually drains me, sucks the life out of me, to be perfectly honest, to do all of that like intensive relationship work that I just don't have those strengths. It doesn't come naturally and it like literally sucks the life out of me. So I can allow him to step in unless it's like something that I absolutely need to personally deal with, he can at least help me navigate that, right? We both have futuristic in our strengths. So that's fun. We do a lot of dreaming and a lot of goal making and a lot of like, in 20 years, you know what would be really cool? Our poor builders are probably like, stop making us make vision boards. This is the first year I haven't done it because I thought maybe I should like give them a break that we don't do a vision board together this year. I think they've heard about our goals enough. So what was the other one I was going to point? Oh, the strategic. When we learned that we both had a strategic strength, it solved so many things. Like we realized that's why we struggle with, like we argue about placements or like we don't always agree because we both want to be in the middle of that. So what we kind of ended up doing with strategic stuff is we know that I can get distracted. This is very clear. We've known this for, how long have we known each other? 20 years. And in the past 20 years, it is very clear that Courtney can get distracted. So Michael does all of the month-long back office checking. He goes in every day. He's the one that checks last month's stuff all the way through the 15th, right? Making sure that our commissions hasn't changed, making sure that our Power 3 hasn't disappeared suddenly because somebody did a return, right? He knows how to do that. He does that every single day, and he checks our Power 3 and he checks our rank, and he's like on it so that I can focus on the business building activities that I need to do. And then at the end of the month, usually like a week out from the last day of the month, we have a little powwow. Typically on a Sunday night, and we typically get takeout, just throwing that out there. It's a magical night. We do not follow anyone's food restriction plan, and we get takeout, and we
take Terrazyme.
We take a lot of Terrazyme, and we make our end of the month plan, and it's magical. But that's when we like then work together and we make this big strategic plan. But he's the one that's like kind of lining it all up, and he usually comes at me with a legal pad full of notes on that night that we do our big end of the month plan
Spreadsheet.
or a spreadsheet, because that's how we roll. But that's kind of how we were able to, okay, we both have this strength. How can we utilize it? How can we not put either of us in a place where we're not using our strength? What else might you say to that, sir? I feel like you have words that you aren't using.
No, I think you used them all.
Check.
You did a good job.
I think that, and I mean, we've seen this even within our team, right? So it's not much different than you're partnering with your builders in this aspect. Like, there are things that some people bring to the table that are undeniable, right? like there is a level of strategy that we bring, right? There's a level, Mike and Amanda Whitman, for example, they both have activator in their top strengths. We need that, right? We need somebody who can like get stuff done. And they are those people. Like, if I need something just knocked out, I know who to reach out to. My upline, Teresa, has a lot of beautiful relational strengths in her top 5. And so a lot of times if I am in like a situation where I've already talked to Michael about it, I just need like maybe a girl input with those relationship things, I can reach to her, right? So the same concept with your spouse, like knowing what you can pull and what you can, like seriously unlocking those 34 was really, really eye-opening for us. So that not only are we operating out of our strengths, but so that we're not hanging out in our not, I don't like to call them weaknesses, but our less than strengths. The things
Eddie,
we are not so strong at.
Eddie Villa talks about staying in your top 5 to 10 and try to stay out of your bottom 10, just because of the fact that it is so draining to you to try and operate. So I know some people like to try and like work on those bottom ones, and that's probably because of something they have in their top 10. Actually,
Probably.
it's causing
They're
them
probably
to
a
want
maximizer.
to go and fix those things.
We want to make it better.
And some people want to just make their top 10 even better to further push themselves in their development.
Yeah.
So is that it?
That's literally all we have.
I know.
But
so I was going to say this earlier, but I was doing baby stuff. I
Say
know people are always trying to find, like, this isn't the first time this subject has been talked about within doTERRA, and there was a men's event last year before convention that was really awesome. But I know I went to that thinking, oh, this is great. They're going to give us the formula. And they didn't do that at all, the jerks. Instead, they
Kynix, come on.
they talked about personal development. And I had this realization that this whole time she's been making herself better while I've been putting babies to bed, and I haven't worked on myself. I haven't up-leveled for myself. So since then, it was kind of something I've been working on to be better, because there will be a time where I will leave my job and I will need more to do than just back office stuff, and I will
have to relinquish some control.
And our kids are getting, well, not necessarily, our kids are getting older, and so they won't need as much of my attention anymore either. So there's that futuristic thing kicking in.
They're getting older. So, our 14-year-old's taller than me. It's very real. Really it's very real that they're getting older.
So I say all that to say there isn't a magic formula. It's just working on some of the things we talked about tonight and finding what works best for both parties.
I would say too, and this is something that I remember you talking about from the men's event that you went to. They talked about, like, not every guy wants to quit his job.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that that's like something that we don't think about, right? We don't think about, like, at least for me, I wasn't like, mostly because he hated his job, but that's a different
That
story.
hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed. But like, I would have never thought, oh, I should ask him if he wants to quit his job you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have ever had that thought. But like, some guys may really love their job and they don't want
But
to
it,
quit to
but
do
it did
doTERRA.
help me. It did help me kind of reach back and find some things that I let go of when I was a
Yeah.
20-year-old newlywed father of one with one on the way, that I
That's
let
true.
go of some things that I wanted to do, and I just got to work and went to college full time so that I could provide. And so for me, what's been really cool about that is now I have hope and a renewed sense of a dream that I had previously purpose that I had previously let go of, that I can look forward to when I
So like,
am able
not
to
just
retire.
quitting to quit and stay home and take kids to school for me, right?
Yeah.
But when he gets to step away from his job, that means he gets to also step into the things that he's been dreaming about. And it doesn't have to be doing back office all day for me, right? Like, he gets to have dreams too now. And so I think that that's part of that partnership, is everybody gets to have their dreams, right? Everybody gets to have their goals, and we get to find the pieces to the puzzle that we want to be responsible for, and that fit best with our strengths and our personality, and that make the whole, like, still liking your spouse that you work with work. Like, we actually, if I'm being perfectly honest, like, we probably have a closer relationship now through doTERRA, through working with each other in this capacity, than we did before. There's some power in personal development, let me tell you. Like, walking through that, not like the same type of personal development, but like walking through that side by side.
Just having her learn to ask for what she wants has been amazing. I
Yeah.
don't have to ask like
That was recent, by the
how
way.
many restaurants she wants to eat at. Usually we just one question. What do you want? Oh, I want tacos.
It was like a massive step of personal development for me when.
Do you want me to make tacos? Do you want to go get tacos? I think I want you to go get tacos tonight. Okay, I'll go get tacos.
Cool. It's almost always tacos. Fun fact. But really, like, that set level, that personal development piece was really massive for me. That when I was in Prague a couple weeks ago, when she was like, "You're not gonna find the builders you want if you don't ask for it. You got to know what you want and ask for it, or it's always no." And I was like, "It's a good life lesson, Elise Shudovy. Thanks for that." And yeah, it's been a pretty cool journey getting to do this with somebody you already like. So, okay, we don't have anything like else to present, but if anybody has questions, we're happy to answer them.
Yeah, I'm going to shut off the recording quick so we keep that short, and then people can ask whatever they want.
Whatever.